Hi, Jessica here, Yoga for Everybody, representing Zen Active Sports. I'm back on the shores of Lake Superior this week to demonstrate and teach you guys another one of my favorite yoga poses, the puppy pose. So let's go ahead and start from a hands and knees position. I'll show you guys how to get into and out of this fabulous pose. From a hands and knees position, let's go ahead and check in with our alignment, specifically the alignment of our joints. So, how are the hips in relation to the knees? They should be in one straight line. The feet should also be hip width apart, nice and relaxed. Core muscles are engaged, of course, to keep the spine straight and the hips neutral. There'll be a little bend in the elbows, and of course we'll want those wrists directly below the shoulders. Spreading the fingers nice and wide, pressing into the mat with the knuckles to take pressure off the wrists. And we'll transition to puppy pose by widening our stance. So we'll widen the distance between the hands and the knees. So we may need to move the knees back and the hands forward, shifting and adjusting until we find a comfortable place for us to rest the forehead down on the mat in between the hands. Okay, the trick here is it's hard to tell whether or not we're staying in alignment. So if you start to feel any kind of strain in the back or the hips or the knees, you may want to adjust your stance because odds are you're probably not keeping those knees in alignment with the hips. And that's easy to do in this puppy pose. So always be gentle, readjusting, and of course using props to modify the poses is always a good idea to ensure proper alignment. I've been practicing this pose for years and I still prefer using a blanket because of the fact that it really just puts those joints in better alignment. And it feels nice to have that cushion under the forehead. Notice the stretching of the shoulders, shoulder blades, and the hips. And of course, always keeping the awareness on the rhythm and the quality of the breath. So notice that breath as it rises and falls, in and out through the nose. When we're ready to come out of the pose, we'll transition slowly to child's pose. Take some pressure off the wrists, relaxes the back a little more. It gives us an opportunity to, again, really focus on the breathing pattern, especially in the child's pose. This is enjoyable because of the fact that we can feel the belly rising and falling against the legs as we breathe in and out. We could keep the knees wider than hip width apart, of course, if we need more space. Otherwise, I always recommend keeping the joints stacked, so knees hip width apart. We could also bring a cushion under the forehead in child's pose too, if we wanted to elevate the level of the floor. When we're ready to come back up to a seated position, we'll do so nice and slowly using the hands for support. Back to a comfortable seated position. Remembering, of course, always to smile. Thanks for practicing the puppy pose with me here on Zen Active Sports. Be sure to stay tuned every week for more tips and videos at www.zenactivesports.com. And thanks again for watching. Namaste.